Hello and welcome to Spinster's Library. I'm Claudia and this is the reverse Q&A. So recently my channel hit 10,000 subscribers, which is a lot of people, more than I'd like to think about actually, especially in the same place. So it's about, a quarter of a football stadium's worth of people watching this channel, although knowing my audience, I'm guessing that not many of us hang around in football stadiums a lot. So for the occasion, I wanted to do something, a little special video, something a bit fun. I thought about doing a Q&A, but I didn't fancy doing a Q&A. But then I thought, what would be fun is if I can ask you some burning questions I have about people in general. So I created a little survey, which I'm calling the reverse Q&A. About 200 of you took part in the last 2 weeks and submitted your answers. So now I thought we'd go through the results. I get to know you a little bit better and maybe you learn something about yourself in this. So thank you. If you were one of the 199 people, that's kind of annoying. Come on, let's refresh this. Maybe we get 200. Nope. If you are one of the 199 people who took part in this, thank you for giving me your time and answering some somewhat silly questions. So let's look at the results. The first question I really wanted answered is, what's the best way to cook a potato? 53 of you, or about 27%, like your potatoes cooked as chips or fries. So that's chips UK, fries US, same thing, deep fried sticks of potato, and they are delicious, okay? There's no arguing with that. There's no one who doesn't like chips. In second place is roast, and then very close after is mashed, followed by baked. I asked this question because I feel like I don't really have a strong opinion on this. Whenever I eat a potato cooked in any way, I think that's the best way to cook it. But if I had to pick out of these ones, I would probably go for mashed potatoes. So there's a lot of good ways to cook potatoes, but the one favored by you is deep fried. The next question I asked was, which book should I read? And I left that question deliberately vague, just to see what kind of recommendations you have for me, just to get a few titles. So let's see if I get anything there to put on my bookish wish list. Bellman and Black by Diane Setterfield. Interesting. I have read 2 of her novels, The 13th Tale and Once Upon a River. Love both of them. So I'm going to make a note of that one. We've got some Barbara Pym, an author who I think I would quite like, but I haven't actually read anything yet. Music thrillers like Killing in G Major. Jojo Moyes, another author I haven't read. Oh, here is someone I really should be catching up on. Anthony Trollope. I know, I have to read him. Then we have a little essay here with loads of different recommendations. The first recommendation here is 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. Bill? Every book you want to read. Thank you, P187. Very helpful. The Traveling Cat Chronicles is the title that I have heard a lot about as well. We got some classics recommendations, we got some newer books recommended. P179 didn't understand the question and said, "You seem well read to me." Why, thank you. Maybe narrow the question a bit. No, the point of the question was that I just want to know which book you would just recommend without any other qualifiers. Okay, some fascinating titles. I'm a little bit afraid of Shirley Jackson, but I should probably get onto some of those books. Oh, that's the second time that The Count of Monte Cristo has been recommended to me. Maybe pick that one up at some point. I know it's quite a large book. George Eliot, North and South, that's great recommendations for Victober. I have actually read North and South and I really didn't like it, but I'm willing to give it a second chance at some point. Margaret Oliphant as well. Hester has almost made it onto my Victober TBR several times, but didn't. Possession by A.S. Byatt. That's actually a book that I read very recently, just a few weeks ago. I'd never made a review video about it because as soon as I'd finished reading it, I looked at my subscription box And there was a brand new review of it from The Book Chemist, and it was amazing. I'm going to link that in the description box. If you know The Book Chemist, his reviews are perfect. I had absolutely nothing to add to it, so I ended up just not making a review video because I thought there's just nothing else I can say about this book that he hasn't already said much better. Second recommendation for the Travelling Cat Chronicles, The End of Mr. Y. This is a book that's been recommended to me quite a few times by people who know my reading taste. This really is a book that I should make a priority and that I'm going to keep an eye out for and see if I can get myself a copy of that, because I really do think I would enjoy that. Some recommended Sonali Dev's Jane Austen retellings, and I know that a lot of people read those during this Jane Austen July. I'm a little bit sort of Jane Austened out for the moment, so I don't think I'm going to pick up any Jane Austen retellings before next July. Some of you really could not stick to one recommendation. The first one you think of, very clever, 133. P122, very similarly clever, the one that you wanted to read for a long time. Clara and the Sun, the latest Kazuo Ishiguro. I've been considering that because I really loved two of his novels that I've read. P117, the one that has been on your TBR the longest. I don't even know which one that is. You should read some fantasy. Yeah, I'm open to fantasy. It's not my favorite genre, but I do read it occasionally. James Baldwin is an author who I've been meaning to get to for a long time. I feel a sort of 20th century literature phase coming up. I go through phases where I read more classics or more new books. I'm kind of feeling a mid-20th century phase coming up, so yeah, I won't be surprised if I pick up some James Baldwin next. Oh, someone here recommended Colette, and I've actually got a book by Colette started, which is Claudine at School, which I haven't read for a few weeks, so I should really continue with that. Morris by E.M. Forster. So P90 is probably new to my channel because this is my favorite E.M. Forster novel. I've read all of his books, and this shares the top spot with Howard's End. Your favorite book from your childhood, to see how you feel about it now. Oof, I am so tempted. My favorite book from my childhood was a 4-part book series called The Magician's House, and every few years I do reread it. And when I first read it at age 10, I read it in a German translation, but as an adult I've started buying up the original English copies that I can find of it, and I've been rereading them in English. So, oh wow, someone here recommended a Japanese classic, sometimes referred to as Japanese Pride and Prejudice. Well, sign me up. Someone suggested Momo by Michael Ende, which is a German children's classic that I loved as a child. So someone suggested some James Joyce. I'm sorry, but life is too short. P61 suggested Howard's End by E.M. Forster, which is actually my favorite E.M. Forster novel, shared with Morris. Both of them wonderful books. Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. I read this one, loved it so much that I gave it to Bill to read. And he did a little review of this book and some other books that I made him read. I'll link that in the description box. It's a really funny video. You should check that out. The Children's Book by A.S. Byatt. So after reading Possession, I'm definitely up for reading more of her novels. Agatha Christie, we've got The Woman in White, that's been recommended a few times. The one you've been meaning to get to for ages. You mean the one I've been meaning to get to for ages. Some really, really good recommendations here. I am going to have to come back to this with pen and paper. Let's move on to the next question, which is, which of my cats do you think is the naughtiest? 81.1% of you are correct. Minerva is the naughtiest. I mean, both of them have their moments, but Minerva is a handful. Although, you know, she's also cute and fluffy and adorable, so I forgive her everything. Let's just move on to the next question. If you could summon any author from the history of literature for a cup of tea and a chat, who would you summon? Let's look at the answers. Jane Austen, Oscar Wilde, Jane, presumably Jane Austen, Mary Shelley, Jane Austen. I don't want to be disenchanted if I don't like them. Yeah, I get that. Jane Austen, Jane Austen, Jane Austen. Well, loads of people want to have Jane Austen over for tea. Fair enough. I'm not sure if I'd want Jane Austen over for tea. I mean, I'm sure she'd be great at conversation, actually, but I'd be worried about ending up as a character in her novels and not a good character. Lots of Jane Austen. Oscar Wilde, now he would be a fascinating tea guest. I'd probably be quite intimidated by him, but also I bet he's absolutely hilarious to listen to. Someone says, can I have Daphne du Maurier and Agatha Christie? No, I asked about one author, you can't have both. Most people seem to be summoning classics author. One person said, I'd probably summon Terry Pratchett. Yes, I'd definitely have him over for tea. Elisabeth von Arnim, okay, interesting answers here. But most of them want Jane Austen over. Oscar Wilde, also a very popular answer. Shakespeare. Jane Austen or William Shakespeare? Okay. P.G. Wodehouse, Thomas Mann, Terry Pratchett. Yes, two people have said Terry Pratchett there. He'd probably be the one I'd go for, even though I'd be most curious about meeting Oscar Wilde. I think I'd have the best time having a cup of tea with Terry Pratchett. E.M. Forster, interesting. I don't really know much about E.M. Forster's personality other than what comes through his books. P90 says he's a queer icon and had a really interesting philosophy about life in general. He also seems like just a nice person to have a cup of tea with. And I think he'd be happy to know that things have gotten better for queer people. I would certainly hope so. Jane Austen, nothing beats a sarcastic tea time talks. Fair enough, I get that. James Joyce, Homer. I don't think I'd have very good conversation with Homer, you know. Not understanding the same language might be a problem. Got more Jane Austen, Jane Austen, Jane Austen. Tolstoy! Alright. Jane Austen, Jane Austen. P2. Keats. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I bet he's quite boring, really. Okay, the next thing I really wanted to know, and that comes from a personal insecurity, so just bear with me. Do you pronounce the first R in the second month of the year? Do you say February? Do you say February or February? I think I say February. I don't think I pronounce the first R. Just over half of you also don't, so that makes me feel validated. 43.4%, though a sizable minority, say February. I wonder if that's a British versus American English thing. I don't know. Question number 6 is, what's your favourite literary trope? And I was quite excited to see the answers for this one because I love thinking about story tropes and about bookish conventions and stuff. So let's see what we got here. Writer/artist looking back. I wouldn't say that's a favourite of mine, but The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield uses that as a base for the story, and it's really good. Pirates and nuns with ghosts and guns. That seems very specific. A good unexpected romance where they initially hate each other, such as Pride and Prejudice. Yeah, I think this sort of hate to love trope is very popular. I get that as well. Time travel, yes. As a Doctor Who fan, I'm obviously enjoy a bit of time travel. Enemies to lovers, coming of age, all very good ones. Found family, oof, love a good found family. Define trope. People use this in different ways. P179 really doesn't understand how surveys work. If I ask a question and you write in the answer box define trope, I won't be able to then reply to you and define the word trope. So I'm afraid you'll just have to look it up in the dictionary. Lots of people say they don't have a favourite. Wife in the attic, excuse me. Question mark, need an example? No, you don't. Just think about it. Fish out of water, that's always a good one. And there's different ways for authors to put their own spin on it. Isolated house, person alone with pet, pet starts acting strangely. Ooh, that sounds like a horror trope. Enemies to lovers, a marriage of convenience. You don't have to apologise. No need to apologise, all good. Someone said oxymoron, which presumably means that P140 thinks that a favourite trope is an oxymoron because a trope is a negative word, but I disagree. A trope is just a tool for storytelling, and people who don't say they don't like tropes don't understand what a trope is, because if you read a book completely without any tropes, you would get bored of it or confused by it very quickly. Someone said, what is a literary trope? Presumably mistaking this survey for Google. Back to a small town. I do love that as well. I really do. You've got more enemies to lover. Someone said, no idea, would you make a video on this? Yes, actually, I have got a video planned on my favourite tropes, and if all goes well, that video is going to be out next week, so keep an eye out for that. I don't have an answer for this. Talk of tropes confuses me. Oh, bless. Hero's journey, more enemies to lovers. Enemies to lovers seems to be the most popular answer. P113 says, not a fan of tropes. Yes, you are. Multi-generational, that's actually a trope I really don't like in most cases. Obviously, any trope can be done really well, but when I see multi-generational story on the blurb of a book, I'm probably not going to read it. P107 says, it annoys me that enemies to lover gets me every time. No shame. Prophecy becomes fulfilled by the very act of trying to avoid it. It's basically like That's So Raven, isn't it? Underdog story, dual timeline storytelling. Sometimes it confuses me, sometimes I love it. Someone again says oxymoron. No, it isn't. Meta-fictional twist where the book is actually written by a character. So I could talk about some books that I read that do this really well, but that would be spoiling them, so I'm not going to, but I also quite enjoy them when that is the big twist at the end. Enemies to lovers, no idea what that means. Am I going to Google it? No, probably not. Love triangles. I know I'm the only one though. Yes, you are actually, P74. I don't think anyone else so far has said love triangles. Rags to riches. Yeah, that's always good. A good old Cinderella story. Got more enemies to lovers. Enemies to lovers. Mutual pining. Ooh, technological control. Loss of individualism. Survival. I see someone else likes a bit of dystopian and post-apocalyptic fiction. I certainly do as well. Happy endings with lots of weddings. Enemies to lovers, enemies to lovers. Metafictionalism. Okay, why don't we look at the next question? Question number 7 is, on a scale of 1, brackets, dystopian nightmare, to 10, brackets, happy utopia, how optimistic are you about the future? The answers range from 0 to 10, and you as a whole are just under average optimistic, which means you're ever so slightly on the pessimistic side, and good for you. I would probably put myself on a 2.5 on this scale right now. I'm not feeling very optimistic about the future at all, but I'm glad that, you know, that you are nearly neutral about the future, just ever so slightly hopeless about it. So let's look at the next question. What's the best fruit? Probably I'd have to pick cherries or watermelon. I don't think you can beat a delicious slice of watermelon with a little bit of salt sprinkled on it. But also, again, a nice bowl of cherries picked fresh from the tree. Absolutely amazing. Blueberries, very good. Apples, berries, all berries are good. Of the berries, the raspberries probably the nicest, but strawberries are also really good. Watermelon anywhere, but if in Hawaii, then pineapple comes in close second. Ooh, there must be something particularly delicious about Hawaiian pineapples. Mangoes are good, but they are so hit and miss. I mean, if you, like me, live in Europe, the mangoes can be delicious or they can be just completely flavorless. Pomegranate, love it. When I was a child, you couldn't get pomegranates in Germany. Now you can. They're amazing. Nectarines, yes, the better peaches. Someone here said ripe peach, which is very nice, but not as nice as nectarine. Raspberry, cherries. Okay, so lots of people seem to like cherries. Banana, genuinely the only food I absolutely detest and will not eat and don't like being in the same room as. Disgusting, and you should be ashamed of yourself if you wrote banana. Oh, P171 is allergic to fruits. Oh, that's harsh. That's persimmon. Also very good. You get some that are like crunchy and sweet, and you get some that are really soft and squishy and like jammy, and they're all amazing. Fresh figs. I do like fresh figs, but the ones that you get in Germany, really not great. Watermelon, yes, P152, we agree on this. P148, banana. What is wrong with you? Mango seems very popular. Lychees. Oh, interesting choice. Yeah, they're fine. Tomato smiley face. I see what you're doing. Grapefruit. Not grapes, but the round pink or white grapefruit. Yes, thank you for clarifying. Banana. Very uncomplicated to eat. Yeah, but it's also disgusting. Banana. No! All of that has really made me crave a fruit salad, but let's move on to the next question instead. We are nearly done with this questionnaire. Question number 9 says, do you prefer plays or poetry? More people preferred plays to poetry. I would agree with that. And the last question, what's a skill you've always wanted to learn? I'm really interested in that. My answer to that would probably be sewing and carpentry. So let's see what we get here. Making small talk, I can't help you there. Drawing, bookbinding, illustrating. I've always wanted to knit, and 3 years I did. I'm assuming it means 3 years ago. That was one of my skills that I always wanted to learn, and then the winter before last, I just went and did it and learned it, and now I really enjoy it. Someone said another language, maybe Italian, but I'm too lazy for that. Someone said guitar, and as someone who plays the guitar, just don't bother. To bake, I mean really bake. Baking's fun. Piano and guitar, I've tried both, but I'm not very good. The problem with musical instruments is that in the beginning you are going to sound terrible. I say that as a former guitar teacher. It's hard, it's uncomfortable, it's painful on your fingers when you start out, and you just can't do much with it. You have to really stick through it until it starts sounding good. Although what I just said about the guitar is much worse with the violin. Lots of people saying instruments and languages. Some interesting ones here: sign language, watercolor, video editing, sword fighting, that's fun, keeping houseplants alive, good luck with that, knitting, cooking, crochet, writing backwards, okay, sewing, that's probably one I would put on my list as well, quilting, piloting helicopters, okay, that's ambitious. P161 says flamenco, and I wonder if it's flamenco dancing or flamenco playing. Handyman skills, oh yes, I wish I could, fix things. I just wonder, how do you learn these things? How do you learn how to fix things if you're not taught by a parent? Photography, climbing, canoeing. Yeah, you're an ambitious bunch there. Weaving, same, but just getting the tools is so expensive. All the tools and materials for these things. Parachuting, I think I'd be too scared for that. Töpfern, that's pottery. Pottery I would also love to do, but of course you have to have access to all of the equipment and stuff. Computer programming, very useful skill. Skiing, it won't happen in this lifetime. That's interesting, because where I grew up, pretty much everyone skied, because, mountains and it snows there. But I guess for some people, skiing is a real, you have to go elsewhere and make it a big, expensive holiday. Fingerstyle guitar, cannot recommend. House chores and enjoying house chores. Audio books are the solution. Swimming, that's a very useful skill to have, definitely. Social skills seem useful. Yeah, if I had any before, I think I've lost the little skill I had during the pandemic. A dead language, but something more obscure than Latin. I don't get it. Echolocation. Is that what dolphins do? Do a cartwheel. That's a really fun and actually probably quite achievable thing if you know how to practice it. P96 says, I struggle to talk in English a lot, French native speaker here, and I know it comes with practice, but it's hard. What you need to remember, and what I need to remember, and any one of us who speaks English as a second language, is it's really bloody impressive that we all learned English to the point where we can communicate with each other. Maybe it would be nicer for more English natives to learn other languages for a change. That came off really bitchy. P95, glass blowing. No, I would be absolutely terrified of setting myself on fire. To become ambidextrous, I love it. It's so useless. I always wanted to learn to play chess. Embroidery, something I definitely want to learn as well. There's so many people saying playing the piano that I feel like we should start some sort of club. Spinster's Library Piano Club. Carpentry. Yes, P51. Me too. I would like to know how to make furniture. Oh, that's the second person that said bookbinding. Telepathy. I don't think that's something you can pick up from like a Skillshare course, but you can give it a go. P3 said whistling with your fingers in your mouth. Like how? And that was the very last question of the reverse Q&A. Thank you once again if you are one of the 199 people who took part in it. And thank you Also, if you're one of the 10,000 people that are subscribed to Spinster's Library, and if you are just sort of, part of this channel by commenting on the videos or suggesting things for me to talk about, just being a part of Spinster's Library. Next week's video is going to be a lot more what you're used to, a bit of book talk. I've already mentioned it earlier. We are going to be talking about literary tropes. But until then, thank you for watching. Bye!